Here are 10 surprise entrants that I believe will appear in the 2025 Royal Rumble, with 10 being the most likely and 1 being the least likely. Now, to be clear, I do predict all 10 of these, but without further ado, let's get straight into it. Roxanne Perez. Now, I know this isn't a very bold one. She's been in the past 2 Royal Rumbles, and she's been appearing in the crowd on the main roster a lot lately. A call-up seems imminent for her, but I do think she'll appear as a surprise in this year's match to help continue her feud with Bayley. One thing I will say is I don't think this year we will see as many surprise entrants from NXT in the Women's Royal Rumble as usual, and the reason for this is purely because of how stacked I think the Women's Rumble will be, and I think NXT talents just won't really have the space to appear. Trick Williams. I think he's going to be appearing on the main roster after WrestleMania, so I think a great way now to get the main roster fanbase familiar with him is having him appear in the Royal Rumble, plus a stadium chanting "Whoop that Trick" would be an incredible moment, no doubt about it. Becky Lynch. Now, Becky Lynch returning is the worst kept secret in professional wrestling at the minute. She was photographed by so many people at the Raw on Netflix event, so it is clear that she is returning imminently, and I do think the reason she didn't appear on the Raw on Netflix premiere is because they are saving her for the Royal Rumble, which could even mean that she is going to win the Royal Rumble match itself. I mean, I could definitely see her and Rhea Ripley running it back, no doubt about that, but Becky Lynch appearing in the Royal Rumble, I do think it's a no-brainer. In at number 7, Oba Femi, the current NXT champion. Now, the reason I do think he'll show up is I do not think Omos is going to be showing up this year. Braun Strowman will be in it, but apart from Braun, there's not too many big guys. So having Oba Femi in this match as a big guy, I think would be a great showing for him and a great way to introduce him to the main roster fan base as well. Have him enter the match fairly early on and then have probably the most eliminations in the entire match and stay until late at the end before being eliminated by perhaps my number 1 pick. I do think WWE have huge plans for Oba Femi in the near future, so having him have a really dominant showing in one of their biggest matches of the year would undoubtedly be a great way to get the main roster fan base familiar with him, but also he's another name who I do think could potentially be called up after WrestleMania, or if not after WrestleMania, sometime in 2025. I don't think they're going to keep him in NXT for too much longer, purely because of how over he is and how much of a star he will be. That being said, they did keep Ron Breakker in NXT for years and years, didn't they? But regardless, I do think we'll see Femi in the Royal Rumble. In at number 6, Charlotte Flair. Now, of course, this past week on SmackDown, WWE announced that Charlotte Flair would be returning very, very soon. So that pretty much all but confirmed a Royal Rumble return for me. And I think she's another contender who could potentially win the match. She has to be in that conversation. She is technically, with the amount of titles she's won, one of the greatest of all time in the women's division. So definitely somebody to keep an eye out for this year. Before we get into the top 5, if you guys could leave a like and subscribe on this video, I would massively appreciate it. Here at Wrestling Republic, we create between 5 to 10 free videos every single week. And in addition to that, we do a live daily stream 7 days a week at 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern over in America, and 12 p.m. Pacific. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you. Randy Orton. Now, Randy Orton has been out of action since being taken out by Kevin Owens a couple of months ago, but I do think he is somebody who will definitely return this year in the Royal Rumble match and potentially could even win the entire thing and face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Despite it being Kevin Owens who took him out, maybe while he's been on the shelf, he's decided that Kevin Owens is actually right and Cody Rhodes should have, sided with Kevin Owens rather than teaming up with Roman Reigns, who we know Randy Orton has issues with as well. So maybe Randy Orton will return, win the Royal Rumble, and then turn on Cody Rhodes, and we have student versus mentor at WrestleMania in the main event. I could definitely see this happening, and it would be an unbelievable feud. Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss has been out way too long at this point, and maybe this is wishful thinking, as we haven't really had any indications that she will be returning, but I really hope she does return at this year's Royal Rumble. But the question is, what gimmick will she return with? Will she return as part of the Wyatt Six, or will she return to her old gimmick? I'm not sure, but I am really hopeful that we will finally see her return this year, and undoubtedly the pop for her will be massive. Joe Hendry, say his name and he'll appear. We know the WWE Universe believes in Joe Hendry. In 2022, we saw the TNA Knockouts champion, Mickie James, appear. In 2024, we saw the TNA Knockouts champion, Jordan Grace, appear. But we are yet to see a TNA Men's World Champion appear in a Royal Rumble. But I do think Joe Hendry will be the first, because I undoubtedly do think with how over he is going to be the surprise in the Men's Rumble this year. It'll be a viral moment. It'll be a great way to show off this new TNA partnership. And I mean, it undoubtedly would be a viral moment as well, wouldn't it? Jordan Grace. Talking about TNA, I do believe we're going to see Jordan Grace once again this year, but this year it won't be part of the TNA partnership, but instead I think she will be joining WWE and making her official debut during the match. This past weekend at TNA Genesis, we basically saw her say goodbye to the TNA roster after her match against Tessa Blanchard, which, by the way, was a fantastic match if you haven't seen it. But I do think Jordan Grace could be one to show up this year in the Royal Rumble and properly debut in WWE. And hey, what a get for the WWE it would be if she does show up. Brock Lesnar. Definitely the boldest pick out of any of the names on this list. And to just clarify, I'm not saying I want this to happen. There's a lot of controversy surrounding him. Plus, WWE's main event scene is just completely stacked right now, and they don't need him. And, you know, all the controversy which would come with him. But I do think it's going to happen. I do think Gunther is going to lose the World Heavyweight Championship before WrestleMania, which then leads to the question as to who will Gunther face at WrestleMania, and my prediction is Brock Lesnar. I think they're going to finally do Lesnar-Gunther. Undoubtedly would be a great match, and I do think it will be a non-title match as well. Of course, it will be controversial, but it also would be a great match. But there we have it, my 10 picks for this year's Royal Rumble. Let's see in just over a week how many of them were right. I am fairly confident. I don't think we're going to see Matt Cardona. I don't think we are going to see AJ Lee. I'm sorry, guys. I'd love to see them both, but I just don't think they are going to happen. But who do you guys think will show up as a surprise in the Royal Rumble? Please let me know in the comments down below, and I will be replying to them. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.